Hey guys, welcome back to this episode. In this episode, I want to tell you guys a little bit more about just my personal journey here in the Caribbean. So that for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Suarez. I'm currently a second semester medical student here at AUC Medical School here in St. Martin. I want to just be very transparent. If any of you are looking to come to the Caribbean, maybe have heard rumors or want me to debunk anything, please feel free to drop a comment. I'll respond to any comments. But yeah, my experience has been pretty good, I'd say. So I started back in the fall of 2025. So yeah, I came to St. Martin. I got accepted to AUC. I had quit my job that I was working full time. And yeah, I just saw it as an opportunity to really continue on with my dreams. They gave me the opportunity to continue on with this dream of becoming a doctor. I had taken the MCAT two times, and things didn't go my way. Let's just say I wasn't up for applying for another cycle or taking it for a third time. So I just said, you know what? Let's just do this. I have a mentor, sorry, who did go to the Caribbean, and he had told me, "Well, look, man, I went to the Caribbean. I was successful. I passed. I'm a doctor now. Uh, as long as you're willing to put in the work each and every day, then you will be fine here in the Caribbean." There's a lot of rumors where a lot of people fail, or a lot of people just don't make it, or you hear all these things like on Reddit and stuff. I never use those apps, but I'd say that, truth be told, if you come here, you have a good head over your shoulders, you work hard, and you're very disciplined and you know what you want, then you will get what you want. If you want an A on an exam, you work hard for it, you will get an A. If you're just trying to pass, you will just pass. If you don't want to study and explore the island, then you will be part of that percentage that doesn't make it. That's just the truth. Now, some things that I wish more people would have told me is the self-navigating aspect of it. I didn't really know that students had to like fend for themselves, and that sometimes it feels like it's us against the faculty, and it's not like in a bad way. But the thing is that they're constantly changing the curriculum. It's not this constant, steady. Well, the last cohort had this. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes they'll change the module up. It's the same content, so don't be scared. But they'll give you, for instance, let's say the module before you had three exams in their first semester. You coming in the following semester, you'll have one exam and then one final, of course. So I think that that's something that I didn't know. So it's good to definitely have someone here in the island like, hey, what did you have and what should I expect before I arrive? Because, for instance, if you just hear that, oh yeah, like you go in every 3 weeks and you have an exam, and then the final is worth sorry, the final is worth 20% of your grade or something like that. That may not be the case by the time you arrive. You might have one exam that's worth half your grade, one final that's worth half your grade. And another thing too, for someone listening who's probably thinking, okay, well that sounds kind of rough, or well, we do have class reps, is what they're called, and pretty much these class reps will they do what it sounds like. They go up and bat for you guys or for us, and I think it's really important to know who to elect, because once you start your first cohort, they ask, okay, who wants to be a class rep, and then people have to elect them. But sometimes people just elect their friends and stuff like that. But no, like you need to elect someone who's gonna go up and bat, someone who's gonna go and like nag at the professors. Hey, give us this point back on an exam. Hey, you haven't graded this quiz and it's 2 days. We're all waiting for our grade, or I don't know, something isn't clear about what's on the final. Things like that, clarification, or even if a student's having difficulty, as well. It's between the class rep and the professors to really sort that out. So that's something I think it's pretty cool that it's very student led and student advocated for. And I think that's something that's misrepresented sometimes. Like when you hear online and stuff, and you hear it's a horror story and stuff, it's the thing is that you come here and you come and bat for yourself. Like you come and you're betting on yourself that you will study, you will work, you will elect the correct class reps, and that you will hopefully have a strong student body government. That's something that's just part of the culture. As like the stronger student body government you have, the smoother things should go, ideally. Um, some other things. So, since you are in the Caribbean, you are very close to the beach. The beach is like literally walking distance. Like I could see it from my apartment view. And I think that it's important to know that just because it's there doesn't mean you should be going often. Sometimes I see that misconception where people are like, well, the beach is right there. I'm just going to go there and study. Or, yeah, let's just take a day off and go to the beach. Like, this is medical school. It's still very difficult. The professors don't care if you're studying or not studying, if you're going to the beach, if you are going to the beach. They will keep unloading lectures on you. Like the exams will not care. And yeah, the whole point is to get off this island, right? And to make it back to the States for clinicals. So I think that it's very, very important that you are disciplined enough to say, hey, for instance, this is like what me and some friends do. All right, we're gonna grind every day in the library. We're gonna go to the class, and then we're gonna go lock in the library till like, I don't know, 10 p.m. Pretty much 10 to 12 hour study days every day. And then after an exam or after a quiz, we'll go to the beach. After an exam day, like, okay, I threw out an 80 on the quiz or a 90 on the exam. I don't know, just for example, which is obviously good, right? You want to do something like that. Then we go reward ourselves. Then go to the beach. Yeah, something like that. Or if you're a first semester, it's the first week or two is kind of like an adjustment period. They're really nice to you. They really like knowing that people are settling in and stuff. So go to the beach every day if that's your thing. Or come early. If you know you're going to start in let's just say the fall term, come a week before. Get it out of your system. Go every day. Knock yourself out. There's plenty of beautiful beaches. So the school is located on the Dutch side. So that's another thing too to note, that when you do come to St. Martin, it's broken up. So there's the Dutch side and there's the French side. It's still one island, but for some reason it's divided up. And if you do come here and you hear about the French side, you're kind of confused. Yeah, it's literally just like driving to the other side of town. I mean, people say it's nice. I've been maybe one time. I mean, I thought it was okay. Like I didn't really feel a difference. But yeah, if you're into that, you want to research that, you want to look at what restaurants there are to eat and stuff like that. Yeah, I do hear that there are like really nice restaurants, and that's a little bit different. There's a different culture because it really is ran by France, and here I believe we're run by the European system. As far as like I just said, like getting groceries, right? Okay, I want to get groceries. So how do I do it? Well, so right now where I live in Jordan Village, and if you're coming here and you're researching it, Jordan Village will be like one of the first ones that comes up, or like a 2 3 minute walk from school, super close. I mean, prices are fair, I'd say, like, and there's a little store called Carrefour. It's like a 2 minute walk from where I live, and maybe a 5 minute walk if you're living on campus. But that's pretty much where all the students go and buy their groceries. Just be aware of their prices. They do mark up stuff. Stuff is a little bit more pricey. So, yeah, I don't know if you're like going to be the type of person who stocks up for the week or just goes and buys what you need for the day. But it can be pricey. There are car rental services here on campus. There's a guy named Leo. Not sure if it'll still be him by the time you watch this video, but I think it's called like Dollar Thrifty or something. It's like the company, the agency, they send him out. Pretty much there's a rep on campus just for car renting. Super easy to find him. I mean, you'll definitely know who Leo is. You'll ask someone who Leo is. They'll tell you who he is. They'll give you his number. Really friendly dude from the island. And yeah, you can pretty much rent a car for like $30 a day, 40 with like the insurance and stuff. And you can go buy your groceries. You can go to the beach. You can go to the French side. But yeah, so for instance, if you're like me, what I do is every 2 weeks, I stock over 2 weeks. I personally stopped going to the Care for after MTM, which is like semester one. What I do is I rent a car and I go get groceries every 2 weeks with my wife, and that's what we do. So yeah, I mean, I rent a car. I take the hit, pay the $35 for it, and then we go buy groceries. We go to town. Actually, it's funny. We go to another Carrefour, but the Carrefour that the locals actually go to, where stuff is actually like affordable, where people, you know, living here actually can afford the groceries. People from his island will, of course. So yeah, that's what we do. We buy groceries for about 2 weeks, and then come back, return the car, and then we have groceries for 2 weeks, and then I don't have to rent another car out for another 2 weeks. But yeah, so even if you're curious about like how do I get around, well, there's a guy here every single day, 7 days a week, and you can rent a car from him. He's here. He's friendly. Even if it's not him, his company is his other coworkers for the company are really friendly. I mean, they work with students. They give you student prices compared to just renting a car from like the airport or like an agency outside of the school. They're not going to give you the student prices. So that's something to take in mind if you're coming here and then just thinking you're going to make new business outside of the school. Um, but yeah, that's like a nutshot. Let me see. So I am also Latino. So there are on-campus organizations, for instance, like there is the Latino Medical Student Association, the LMSA. I have done a health clinic with them this semester. Actually, we went to the community and we did free health screenings. So, for instance, we did blood pressures, we did eye exams, we did ear exams, we did weight and BMI, and then the later semesters, I believe it was term fours, they actually interviewed the patients, and then there was one on island doctor there who was writing referrals if the students ultimately decided that hey, this person does need some type of assistance. And just to like backtrack, uh, so there's a thing called Community Action Day, which is one time a semester where pretty much students can sign up to volunteer we go on shuttles to actually out to St. Martin, and we go and volunteer like what it sounds like. Like we do health fairs, we do diabetes screenings, we do health literacy workshops. Sometimes we go to like the orphanages and play with the students, or sometimes they'll come bring them here on a bus, right? Either they're coming or we're going. But for the health screenings, usually you're the one going out to the community. And you're helping people who don't have like insurance or who don't see a doctor regularly, and we're going to them like in their footsteps. So we went to a I believe it's called the Seventh Baptist Church in Phillipsburg, which is, I mean, pretty long drive. It was almost 40 minutes to get there. But we went on the bus again, like I said, and we did free health screenings, and it was a really good experience. So if you're looking to, get like hands-on experience or like some rural community experience, you know, there's definitely that here. Don't think just because it's a Caribbean school you don't have anything or there's nothing formal. There definitely are things formal. And there was recently a trip to Costa Rica, where kind of like what we did here in the community in Phillipsburg. Well, they did that for a whole week straight during their mid-module break. Um, I wasn't able to be part of that, but I do want to sign up for that in the future. And again, if you're looking to do more like global health or something for the resume, or that's something that's something in your heart that you think that something you would want to do, that's definitely doable here on the island. And talking a little bit more about how it works. So, for instance, how the semesters are set up. I kind of skipped this part, but so there's 5 semesters you do on the island. So you do semester one, which is called like MTM, Molecules to Medicine. You do semesters two, and then three, four, five. But after semester one, it becomes A and B modules. They're broken up into 8 weeks, 8 weeks. So, for instance, MTM, your very first semester, you're gonna rip through 16 weeks straight. Yeah, I know. It's straight 4 months, no breaks, every day, and it's very, very, very long. Um, I did hear that they were trying to make it like an A and B module. that might be implemented by the time you watch this. So you might have like an 8 week um, MTM. You pass that, then you move on to Part B, 8 weeks, and then you pass that, then you can go on to HODE, which is HOA, which is semester I just completed. But yeah, anyways, assuming that's not in place yet, semester one is 16 weeks long, 16 weeks straight. Then you pass that, and then you start the next module. It's 8 weeks, a final, then 1 week break, and then you start module B. Then you pass module B, then you can move on to the next semester. But just because you pass module A doesn't mean you pass the semester. You pass one of the two modules. So that's something to know, that when you, for instance, let's say you're going to enter semester two. Well, it's broken up into two parts, part A and part B. I just completed part A. I'm going to now start part B this upcoming week. This is my mid-module break. But yeah, so that's important to note that, it's like, oh, it's only 8 weeks. Well, yeah, part A is 8 weeks. Then you have your final. You get a week off. And then you do part B. And part B has nothing to do with part A. It's a whole different module. So for instance, for us, HODE is hematology, oncology, attack. So it's pretty much immunology, pathology, oncology. But then the next module is MSD, which is pretty much the musculocutaneal and dermatology module. So again, we just did immunology. Now we're going to do pretty much anatomy and dermatology, right? They don't really, that has nothing to do. That's why they give you mid-module break and then you start module B, which has nothing to do with module A. Now, what happens if you don't pass one of the modules? Well, there is one thing, I think it's pretty cool, but there is a thing called REM comp. So let's just say you get to the end of HOA HODE. You didn't pass the final, or so the passing requirement is 69.5 grade wise. I know usually it's 70, but here, or I think most medical schools, or at least what I don't know a lot, but here at least, I'll talk for here at UC, it's a 69.5 that you need to pass. So you get 69.4, you failed. You get a 69.6, you passed. You get 69.5 on the dot, you still passed. Now let's just say you got a 69.4. Well, you failed obviously, but there's a makeup exam called the REM comp, where pretty much you get a second opportunity. You get 2 days to study, and then you got to go and take REM comp. But the thing is that you got to get a 70% flat on that final, on the second attempt. And if you get 70%, then you immediately pass the semester with the 70% flat. You can move forward. If you don't pass that REM comp, then that was your last chance. Now you failed the semester. You do have to repay, unfortunately. And now you have to sit out until the next group starts HOA. So yeah, it's very unfortunate, but if you don't pass or you take a leave of absence, then you're pretty much just sitting out. There is a program I've heard called LEC, like LEC, where I don't know much about it, but pretty much my friends who repeated told me that you are led by not a student, but like a faculty who is teaching you study methods and teaching you about the concepts of the semester you failed, and you guys are meeting every day. I don't know if it's virtually on Zoom. I would have to get more information. I didn't personally do it, but essentially, yeah, it's like another mini class. I think you do have to pay for it, and I think if you failed, it is required to do LEC. Yeah, so just be careful about that. So you can't just fail and, oh, let me just do it again. Well, you have to now do LEC, which you have to pay for, and then you have to sit out and wait for the next group. So depending on how long that is, that can be an 8-week sitting, that could be 16-week sitting. I don't really know if it just depends which semester you're in. But yeah, that's something to take note. Obviously, your graduation days can get pushed back. If you do have an apartment and you signed a lease, you also have to consider that, because you still have to keep paying your rent, because the rent has nothing to do with the school. Jordan Village doesn't care that you're a student or not. Non-students can live here at Jordan Village as well. And if you signed a 1-year lease, you're responsible for that lease, even if you failed the semester and you went back home, for instance, because people do go back home when they fail, or LOA, because again, you have to sit out for 8 weeks. What are you going to do here for 8 weeks? You're not in school. So, and I'm assuming LEC is probably online because people do go home. So I'm sure it's some Zoom thing, LEC. But yeah, so that's a little bit more. Campus is okay. I mean, it's a really tiny campus, so we have like a little library. We have a little cafeteria. They do serve food. I have heard that the food is pretty good from my friends who eat there. It's pretty price reasonable. You could buy in bulk for like 2-3 nights, and then kind of put in the freezer that we have there. And people here are from all over the world. I mean, people here like really do respect each other. You know, you'll meet people from like different parts of the world, and it's funny because you're on this little island together, and it's like you see everyone. It's like, I don't know if you're from a small town. Like I'm from a really small town. I'm from a really small town in California, so like everyone sees everyone. You know, my high school graduation was like 200 people. That's like tiny, right? Or like less than 200 people. So it's really tiny. And the thing is, if you're from a small town, you'll get it. Like, oh, you go to the grocery store, you see that person. You go to the park, oh, that person's there. Or you just hear rumors about people. And the thing is, that's literally the same thing here. It's so small. And then since it is so small and you are so far away from family, people do start dating each other. That's not uncommon. Like first semester, people come in single, and then by the end of the first semester or at the start of the second semester, you see people coupled up, and you're like, wow, I would have never thought they'd date. But then it's like, well, we're here just studying all day on this island, so it does kind of make sense that someone's gonna date someone. Um, but yeah, so campus is pretty small. People are friendly. I'd say that as far as the faculty, I'd give them a pretty good grade. Like I'd say the faculty are very knowledgeable. They are respectable. They respect you. They give great lectures. They do have it really, really like organized. I will say that about AUC. It's like their structure is good. That I will say that they do have good lectures. They do have good structures. The schedules are already made for you, so there is no picking your classes. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that might work in your favor. So, for instance, HOA. I'll speak from my experience because I just did HOA code. The classes were at 8 a.m. I know for some people that was like a no, I don't do 8 a.m.s. But hey, if you wanted to go to class was every day 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. So either you became a morning person or you were already a morning person. But that's something to keep in mind, that you're not picking your classes. Now classes are recorded. So let's just say you're like, oh well, I wake up at 10 a.m. I start studying by 12 p.m. Okay. Even though you miss class or classes, there are live recordings. I think it's called like Echo 360, if that's still around by the time you hear this. But yeah, the stuff is recorded, so it's not like you missed anything. There is attendance points. Now, you know how I mentioned REM comp? Well, one of the requirements for you to sit for REM comp is you need an 85% class attendance. So let's just say, for instance, you finish the semester and you have a 62%, and you want to do REM comp. Well, they're going to look at your class attendance. If you don't have at least an 85%, you can't even do REM comp. So that's something to keep in mind, that REM comp is not just eligible for everyone. You have to be eligible by going to class and then having, I believe, at least like a 65.5 to like a 69 or 69.4. You have to be within like a 5% passing range. Like if you have like a 52%, they're not even gonna let you sit for REM comp, or like a 61. But yeah, so you have to be within that 5% range, and you have to have at least an 85% class attendance to sit for REM comp. Now, if you're comfortable, if you're confident that you're not gonna do REM comp, most people don't go to class, so don't be surprised. I mean, I was going to class, and it was probably like 12 of us who were there every day, out of a cohort of like 90 something people. So that means like, I don't know, 70, 65 people weren't coming to class. And I mean, not that many people failed, so it's like, yeah, people did fail or do fail, but it's just because you don't go to class doesn't mean you're going to fail. Now, people do tell you, hey, go to class, Your advisor can tell you to go to class. Your teachers are going to tell you to go to class. I personally would tell you to go to class, but it's subjective, right? If you do better at home, you can focus better from, I don't know, your couch or the library. That's totally fine. Just know that you will not get the class attendance for REMCOM. So you're also banking on yourself that you won't need REMCOM. And a lot of people don't need it. I've never personally taken it. I've never had to take it. But I also do have like a 97% class attendance rate. So yeah, that is another thing. I'm trying to see what else I've missed. Um, I guess I could mention the student loans. Like it does cost close to $40,000 a semester to attend. Again, like how I mentioned, if you fail, yes, you are going to pay 40 G's again. Um, we are backed up by like the federal student loans, unless you're like Canadian or something. I think that's like private funding loans. But if you're from the U.S., which I'm assuming you are, then it's pretty much student loans from the government from FAFSA, unless you're getting like Canadian or from another country that doesn't have FAFSA. They do give scholarships, but they are determined at the time of admission. I think I did get a scholarship like at the end of MTM, which is semester one. So you could somehow like gain a scholarship. I don't know how I got one for like $5,000. It wasn't given to me, but it was like applied as a credit to my student portal. Again, I think because I passed, and they probably saw potential, and they're like, okay, well, this guy passed, let's give him a $5,000 scholarship. But I came in with no scholarship, so let's be clear with that. If you already have some type of scholarship, it's not likely they're just going to give you another one. Now it's just, okay, maintain that scholarship, right? There are grade requirements. I don't have one, so I can't talk about it. But I do have friends who, need to keep like an 80% per semester to keep their scholarship, or they need to keep like a 75% at least to keep their scholarship. So that's something to take note of. And yeah, it's about 40,000 roughly, and then you repeat, you're going to pay another 40,000. Let me see. I think the at the time of this recording, well, the big beautiful bill came out, so I think we are getting capped at about 10 because all of medical school is 10 semesters, 5 here, 5 in the States. And I think the big beautiful bill has changed where you're only going to get, or you will get capped at 10 semesters. So now, if from what I've heard, at least, this could be inaccurate by the time you hear this, but if you let's just say repeat a semester, now you're going to graduate in 11 semesters. Well, that 11 semester is going to be on you to figure out how to pay for it. Meaning like private loans with Sally Mae. Bank loans. I don't know, but yeah, at the time of this recording, we were warned about that. That you only get there is no extra funding for a repeat semester. There will be, but eventually, if you've repeated, then you used up one of your loans for the end. So now semester number 10 doesn't have any private funding, which is the last semester. For instance, if you repeated semester 4 or something like that. That could be inaccurate again. That can get overturned by Congress or something by the time you watch this. But yeah, that is something I do want to mention. Just so that you know. One of the reasons why I chose AUC is because it is one of the cheaper Caribbean schools. The other schools are more expensive. I also do like the classroom sizes, so I kind of skipped over that. But classes are really small. My cohort were probably like a 90 people, give or take. That's like decent size. I know other schools can accept up to like 1,000 people in the classroom, and it's just crazy. And AUC does a good job keeping a small cohort. And the last thing I want to talk about is probably like a leave of absence. So let's just say you failed an exam or you have personal issues going on. You are allocated about, I believe, 2 leave of absences during your time here. I believe once you get to term 5, it does restart. And I believe I could be wrong, but I heard something about that. But by term 5, those LOAs can restart, and you have 2 again. But they're not gonna like make, if you haven't used any, then you get to term 5, you're not gonna have 4 LOAs. You're gonna have 2 again. So people do use them. And yeah, so they use them for different reasons. Either they failed and then like, okay, I just want to go home, or I want to like keep studying. but not take the final. There are like drop deadlines you have to be careful for. And another thing about the LOA is that if you LOA when the school gives you the deadline to LOA, now you can get your loans prorated. So for instance, let's just say instead of paying 40K for the semester, you took a LOA at the end of week 3. Okay, you did it by the deadline. You're not responsible to take the final. You can go home. You're free. Or you can stay in your apartment and keep studying. You have all the lecture material anyways. They post everything at the beginning of the semester for the whole 16 or for the whole 8 weeks. If you're in blocks 2, if you're in block 1, then you have all 16 weeks. But yeah, so you have all the material, so you can keep studying it even though you took a LOA. The school's not going to take it away from you. You do lose access to Canvas, but if you downloaded everything, you have the PowerPoints. You just don't have the recordings no more because you don't have access to Canvas, but you still have the lectures like on your iPad or something like that. But yeah, so that's what some people do. And again, you can get your loans prorated. So I'm just going to throw out a random number. Let's just say you pay 40K for MTM. Exam 1 didn't go your way. You LOA'd. Now, whether you go home or stay is up to you. But now because you LOA'd within the reasonable time frame that they told you to take the LOA, well, now you're not responsible for the whole 40K loan. Now, for instance, they're going to send back one of your loans to the to the government, and now you might be responsible for 25,000, and now you just took yourself off the hook for like 15 G's because you weren't ready for the semester. Again, you had to do it within the time frame of that the school allotted or told you to do it. If you pass that deadline, then you're pretty much hooked for the. I mean, you can still LOA, but you're not going to get the prorated term per se. And yeah, I mentioned pretty much, I think, everything. I think overall it's a pretty good school. I think it's pretty fair. Exams are taken in an exam center. I mean, you can't take them from home. You can't take them on your laptop. They have an exam testing center. They do have a really good notification system where they put everything on your phone. For instance, if you subscribe to their Google Calendar from Canvas, you get live updates on your phone. You know when class is, you know when your exam is, you know when your break is, you know when your quizzes are. Another thing I want to mention are some classes are required. So earlier I had mentioned, well, you don't have to go to class. Well, that's true as long as it's not required. If something is required, like let's say there's like an ethics class, you have to go to it. Or you could potentially miss on one of the required assignments, which aka means you failed the semester. And you would have to use an excused absence for missing that day, which there's like a form online on Canvas. You fill it out, you send it to the dean for like an excused absence or something like that. But yeah, so that's one of the things that sometimes you only see people at required classes because they don't go to class. So sometimes at required classes, that's like a time for me to say hi to all my friends because everyone's there on 90 of us. And during a regular day, I told you, there's like 15 of us, 12 of us, maybe 20 of us at most. So the other 70, 60 something are at home. So in a required class, they all have to be there at that exact time. So then you can see all your friends. But yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents. Follow along for my journey. If you guys like this, I'll make more. I am a TikToker. My TikTok @is Medicine with Steve. If you guys would like to follow up or you guys want to ask me questions, I'm totally down to answer. And yeah, good luck, guys.